In business these days, it's the market you don't want to miss. I'm Nelson Davis, executive producer of Making It. The Hispanic market is now the fastest growing consumer group in the U.S. But as companies bring in ethnic favorites from abroad specifically for that group, the really sharp marketers are thinking of also selling those products to the mainstream consumer. And in today's show, our entrepreneurs have their eyes on two distinct Latin flavors. One you have to read. The other is edible. Their mission, though, is to make sure everyone can get a taste. Making It, featuring inspiring personal stories of struggle, triumph, and success from America's small business communities.
Welcome to Making It. I'm Emmett Miller.
And I'm Lynette Romero. He was headed for a career in Major League Baseball. Instead, he ended up scoring a home run in the publishing industry. Jaime Gamboa worked for nationally known publications for 11 years before opening the cover to start his own magazine, Tu Ciudad.
Its glossy pages are geared toward English-speaking Hispanics living in Los Angeles, where Latinos make up nearly 45% of the population. The magazine focuses on the Latin culture in the City of Angels, and printing it in English is meant to give it crossover appeal.
Tu Ciudad is in its infancy, but Jaime has every intention of making it the most respected and sought-after Latino magazine in Los Angeles.
I think that the magazine really celebrates the Latin culture. For us, it's more important to focus on what the lives and interests are of Latinos in the city of Los Angeles. And as we start to think about creating Ciudad and having it exist in other cities around the country, say like New York or Miami, that's really what we want to do. We want to make the city the star and give the editorial a twist from a Latin perspective. The magazine is financed in part by myself as well as MS Publishing. And MS Communications is the holding company of MS Publishing. MS Communications in town is the owner of Power 106, KTLA. They also are Los Angeles Magazine, Texas Monthly, Atlanta, Indianapolis, Cincinnati Monthly magazines, respectively. I think it was a really, really solid partnership between us at the beginning to conceive this type of a partnership, because they are the #1 city regional magazine publisher in the country, and it was very important for me to find somebody that really understood the formula of how to successfully produce city regional magazines, because that's what we were trying to do. And I think what we give to them is the perspective and expertise on really who our market is.
Jaime invested his own money in the magazine.
It was more important to go after this magazine as an investment rather than, say, putting your money into real estate or putting your money into stock market or putting your money away for the future. I do. I look at it as I could have put that money into a home. I could have put that money into many different places, but I'd rather have invested the money in what I think could be a good payoff in the future. Financially, I mean, it's really a tough go, because most magazines don't reach profitability until after about a 5, maybe 7-year period. We've been doing a pretty decent job at trying to stay on track. I think realistically with this magazine, what we've been able to accomplish is to just not spend. We've been very, very tight on our spending. And then for me, that's been a good experience, because since you're a startup, you have to be very cost conscious of everything you do, but without having to compromise what the quality of the product is going to be. And in a magazine, the two things you don't want to compromise is in your sales department and your editorial. So we've been able to really invest well into those two areas.
A year later, there are still lessons to be learned.
I think that after a 1 year's period, we've been able to learn to be efficient. I think that how you run a magazine, who you choose to work with you, who can get things done in a timely manner. You know, it can affect budget, it can affect the flow of the magazine, which can affect the distribution of the magazine, and on and on and on. I've always enjoyed publishing because it's a true orchestration of many different personalities and people, but I've always liked that, and I do liken it to being like a conductor of an orchestra. Many different types of people that are involved, no matter how small the sound or how great the instrument, you really put it together to put one good product together.
Why do people read Tu Ciudad magazine?
It's the entertainment, it's the music, it's the fashion, it's the food. And we stick to those four things. An in-culture magazine is something that focuses on the lives and interests of the culture rather than being a magazine that's in language. So People en Español is an in-language magazine that focuses on celebrity and lifestyle, sure, but it's in Spanish, it's in language. In culture means that we are away from whatever the language may be of that culture, and we're more about what the interests are of them as people. And I think that that's what that's what's missing in publishing today, is that you don't have magazines that are coming out to the Hispanic market. You actually have a large audience out there that just wants to learn more about their culture and their lifestyle, and that's what Ciudad is doing. And I think we're doing it from a regional perspective because Latinos are so different in each and every city around the country. It's hard to produce a national magazine with one voice when there's so many colloquialisms, so many terms, so many different ways of speaking Spanish, because that's how diverse we are. So knowing that the second and third generation audience of Hispanics is the fastest growing, and knowing that English-speaking Hispanics are also the fastest, they're here but growing and will continue to grow fast through 2020, there isn't a magazine that is a reflection of them and their culture. So that's what we mean by in culture. We focus on their lives and interests.
I think it's interesting what he says about it not being in language, because whether or not you're Hispanic or not, or Latino or not, you can read it and get enough of the culture sprinkled in that it's interesting.
Yeah, that's fabulous. I didn't even know it was actually in English. Now I'll start reading it because I know that it is.
I'll give you my old copies and you can catch up. Okay, you can catch up.
It'll be like Architectural Digest. I'll have a backlog, as it were.
Exactly.
Jaime says he admires athletes like Muhammad Ali, who, like entrepreneurs, have to overcome many obstacles to convert their strong desires into success.
In the spirit of small business, Making It is being brought to you by Comerica Bank. We listen, we understand, we make it work. Southern California Edison, for over 100 years, life powered by Edison. And by Honda, the power of dreams.